Hello, welcome again. I am back. I'm feeling much better. We are going to be, I'm going to be showing you how to set up for large pieces, and also we're going to just study some eyes. For the reference photos for the eyes, if you're part of the Facebook group, Da Vinci Eye Apps group, it should be posted in there. I do not have a link for that. I was having a hard time grabbing that. Or you can go and find it on my personal Facebook page, which is under Charity Lowe's Art, and I do have a link for that, which is in the description. So anyways, thank you for joining me, and let's get started. So first off, this is my smart TV. We do have Chromecaster also connected to it, not that I need it because Chromecaster just turns your regular TV into smart TV. So I got an iPhone here. If you do want me to do Android for future videos, I can swap to that as well. So you're just gonna go from the top corner, swipe down, and then you'll see this little button here. Press that. It should give you all the options that you have, including your Chromecasters, but this one just showing my TV, so I'm going to click on that. And it should pop up here soon. Just give it a minute. Creepy eyes. I'm going to choose a so it's pretty close to being almost like the not very much leg in it. There's a little bit, but not too much. It doesn't bother me. Okay. Now I got an 18 by 24 inch paper that we're going to be using. Sorry for the jerky movements. So right now I have it down pretty low, and what we're going to want to do is you want to bring it up as far as you can until you get all the area that you want to draw from. So we're going to focus on the TV so you can see what that looks like. I'm not zooming in or out on the phone, just lifting it up. So I just want to make sure all of it, or at least most of it's being seen. And I do recommend for big pieces that you use the AR. So yeah, this is as far as my phone can reach, but it's good. Yeah, and then I already have it set for AR mode. I'm going to tape it first, if I can find my tape. Where's my tape? I'm going to tape it down so it doesn't move. I know I got the clamps on it, but just want to be extra sure. You can see how high that my phone is, right? It's pretty high. Oh, there's a better tape. There we go. I'm going to tape the bottom and the top of the paper so it doesn't move, because this usually when you're doing big pieces it takes more than one day, right? And you want to have it still and in place until you're done. And you also want to tape down the anchor. I recommend using a large anchor for this, but yeah. I recommend using a large anchor for it. Let's see if this one's connected to that. Yep, that's upside down. Here we go. Lock focus. And you place it down onto your page. Tape it. The larger the anchor, the more stable it's going to be. Because sometimes I've had it so it shakes a little bit, but yeah, I find that it helps to have a large anchor. So we're going to tape that down too. So it doesn't move, and you can do it in multiple days. So there we go. Just set it up just like you would before. You may need to stand up and sit down multiple times just to move it around. So just do one section at a time. And you can zoom in just like before. If you need it to focus a bit better, you place down a pencil. And you do want to do this when you're zoomed in. Place down a pencil, click AR, and you can just tap the focus button, and it should automatically focus for you. So I'm going to show that again, just with the screen. So AR, focus, should automatically focus for you, and then lock it. Your voice is not coming through clear. Oh. Let's see, is that gonna help at all? Let me see where it is. Hello, testing, testing. I tried not to have it too close to me because I have a pretty bad cough. Okay, so AR mode, again. AR, tap it off, and then lock it back in. Is that better? So yeah, I'm going to, for lessons purposes, I'm going to actually close this and just go and do classic mode. And I'm bringing it down. But that's how you set up for large pieces. Okay, just give me a minute while I reset everything. I'm just going to leave it to the big piece of paper, just for the fact it's already set up. So it's going to be my sketch paper for today. Okay. Just give me a minute. I am a one-person show having to do all the camera angles and everything, but this space isn't big enough for 2 people. Okay. I also realized that I had multiple voice inputs, so that probably was part of the issue as well. So now we're going to be working on practicing eyes. So let's try to get this in the center here so you guys can see it a bit better. Okay, so I'm gonna take an 4H pencil, and I think I have that already, and I'm going to trace the shapes. I'm not gonna do the eyelashes yet. And there's also there's like 2 different lines around the eye itself because the skin is quite thick. So you want to do the inner and the outer. My mom used to call it the lip of the eye. And it even has it a bit on the top as well. So it's where the eyelashes are coming out of. That's the top lip of the eye. And the bottom lip. Because your eyelashes don't come from right on the inside of your eye. It's just got some space there. And then you want to do the tear duct there. And then we're going to trace the outer part of the iris. There is a thick dark line around this one, so you can also trace that line too. And then we're going to trace the pupil. We are just going to do the basic tracing for this, and then we're going to do freehand for the rest. I'm just leaving the eyelashes out for now. We will come back to this as a reference later. So you don't want to move things away too soon because we are going to come back. And this is on classic mode. You can use AR mode if you want. That is up to you. But I'm only planning on doing this for one day, and then we'll do a bigger project later. So the crease of the eye, and then there's a little bit of a wrinkle underneath the eye too. A little bit of a crease there. Okay, we are not going to be using this except for pure reference. So I'm going to increase the exposure so I don't actually see the drawing underneath. So what I like to do is I like to work on the pupil first, and it is very dark, so I'm going to use the 8B pencil. Also, you should probably trace the highlight of the eye as well, so let's do that real quick. The catch lights, so you don't fill those in by accident. Okay, back to turning that into a pure just reference, nothing more. 8B, and we're gonna shade that in pretty dark. So the pencils I'm using is an 8B, 4B, HB, and 4H. A blending stump, mono eraser, a regular, well, like a knead eraser, and a electric eraser. Sorry, I'm having a hard time thinking of words. So I'm using the blending stump to blend in the pupil, making it nice and solid. The cough is one of the reasons why I didn't want to have the mic too close to me, but if it's not close enough to me, then you won't be able to hear. So I apologize in advance. Okay, there is like a darker area that kind of goes out almost like a flower. Not all the way out, but it is darker than the rest, so we're going to do that. So we're kind of doing an abstract here. We're doing an abstract shape that's somewhat like a flower. So we're just drawing that. And then we're going to shade it in. It's not like a solid shade in, so we're going to do like lines that go outward toward from the pupil, like flower petals. So from the middle to the edges. And the petals are not exactly the same throughout if we're using the terms of a flower. And now we're going to blend it out, still kind of going from the inside outward. Just keep on working on it until you are satisfied with what it looks like. There are a few little lighter lines in there that don't go all the way to the edge, so I'm going to take my mechanical mono eraser and just kind of pull some of that off, leaving some gap. Leaving some gap between that edge. I'm not doing a whole bunch of it. Okay. Now, there's shadow that is just underneath the top eyelid. So we're going to use a HB pencil to draw that shadow in. Let's see if you guys can get a better view of this. So I'm going to bring this down. Does that help a bit better? Is that a bit better for you guys? So there is a shadow that goes from here, like all the way from this side to this side, and then all the way across like this. And then we're just going to fill it in using circular motions. We'll work on more details later. We're just getting in the basic shadowing. I'm actually just going to focus on just this drawing here. So, because we're just freehanding it from now, I'm going to zoom in with this one. Sorry for the shakiness. So you have at least two different angles going on here and the reference photo. I didn't really plan ahead with this stuff when it comes to camera angles today. So HB, just shading that in. There's a little bit of a shadow on around the edge, and the circular shadow indicate that the eye is a circle. And then we're also going to do the shadow around, well, not the shadow, but the darker area on the edge of the pupil. And we're just doing circular motions for this. It isn't really a solid line between the iris and the white part of the eye. I think it's called a sclera, if I'm correct. I don't know proper terms for things. And we're going to blend that out with the blending stump. Yes. Okay, so just blending it. We can blend it like moving towards or away from the center. Give it more texture. My daughter's being extra needy today. Oh, poor girl. She just wants some attention. And that's okay. Okay, and now we're going to use the, we're still going to use the HB pencil, but we're not going to go as hard, like not a lot lighter strokes to fill in the rest of the pupil. And just do like lines going out. You can do some thicker lines, would be nice too. Thin lines, thick lines. Trying to make the lines go from the center outwards. And also, you don't have to have all the lines going all the way from the center outwards. You can have them kind of broken up too for a little bit more interest. And it's also more realistic if you do that too. And then we're going to blend. And I am going to add a little bit more shadow from just underneath that eyelid, the top eyelid. So I'm just going to do some circular motions to kind of just go over top so we can define that shadow a bit more and blend. Okay, now there are some lighter areas. I don't know where I put my eraser. I'm just gonna grab a new one. Oh, no, it's right here. Found it. Is it stuck on this? No, it's okay. Sorry. So I'm going to take the knead eraser, and there's like a little bit of a highlight underneath the eye, and I'm just going to dab, just make a little small area on the knead eraser, and then just dab to pick it up a bit. So we don't lose that texture we created, but it lightens it up. And we're not going across harshly, because we'll lose the texture. Now I'm going to use the mono eraser because I noticed there is a little bit of highlights close to that like flower area, like the edge of the flowery area, and the very far left of the pupil or the iris. And then I'm also going to just drag a few highlights across, even a little bit on the top too, just a few little highlights. And I think we're good. Now we're going to also erase the highlights, the catch lights of the eye, and within the iris. And we're done that part. Okay, now we're gonna go and do the sclera. You can see all the veins on this one too. So the whole, it's not super white on the sclera, like in reality. It does have a lot of, like not a lot, but like there's gray. So I'm gonna use the 4H pencil because I don't want to do too much. And I'm just gonna fill in the whole thing with a little bit of gray. Just light circular motions. Just so you know, the 4H pencil doesn't blend as easily just for the fact that it's very hard. It's a very hard graphite. The softer the graphite, the better it blends. So when you're using with something that doesn't blend very well, it's important to do like very small circular motions so that that it looks like it's blending pretty good, if that makes any sense. But I didn't want to put a lot of gray on there because it's still pretty light, but not as light as those highlights are. Okay, there is still a shadow that goes across the top that's created by both the eyelashes and the eyelid. So we're going to go in with the HB pencil and still with the light touch, following that, like starting with the shadow of like the other part of the iris, like that shadow on the iris, so that it is so it's uniformed. I'm trying to think of the right words. She is adorable. She's a silly little girl. She does some silly little things. And she just wants to be held, which is all good. I am also going to be doing a little bit of shadowing on right where it touches the tear duct, if that's correct, the corner of the eye, that little pink spot that's in the corner. And it's just like a circular shadow to indicate that the eyeball is a sphere. It's not flat. Okay, and now I'm going to take my wonderful tissue paper, because this is or toilet paper, whatever, because this is a larger area, and I'm just going to wrap it around my finger. So I'll show you, just give me a second. So it's just wrapped around my finger so that I can blend with it. When you get to that edge there, blend like it's a circle, like just do a curved motion for that. I'm just going to continue to move this so that we can see a little bit better when it gets to that. Okay, I do want to do some shadowing that looks like eyelashes. So I'm going to take the 4B pencil and just do a few, because you don't see a lot, and do a few little shadows that look like eyelashes but not as sharp. So you can do like a circular motion in a line, if that makes any sense to you. I don't know if I'm making any sense. So we just want a soft shadow that kind of looks like eyelashes. And then we can take the HB pencil and do the little veins that are in the eye. You don't have to do that if you don't want, but I am planning on trying to get this as realistic as possible with just minimum tracing. So yeah, I'm into using sorry, I'm dyslexic, so I can't read some words very well. The only thing I'm getting out of it is that it's very helpful, and I'm glad it's very helpful, and I'm very sorry I'm having a hard time understanding due to my disability of dyslexia. So I try my best. I am so sorry. So for the veins, the veins are coming from the very back and branching out like a tree. So we're gonna go from the corner of the eye and just kind of like make soft lines. So I'm kind of doing circular motions, and I branch off like a tree. And they get thinner and thinner as you get closer and closer to the iris. It's very soft. Okay, I didn't do a lot because I don't want me to look like, I don't want the eye to look super stressed out. So I'm going to take the blending stump and just follow those lines that I created earlier. Don't put too much pressure on the edge, because that is going to get really dark, and we don't really want that. And then we're going to do a little bit of highlights, which it's a little bit right where that darker shadow is within those shadows of the eyelashes. And it's not like a perfect circle, so you kind of just dab it around and just making It's like an interesting little shape. It's not a usual shape. And then we could also do a little bit of highlight on the bottom too, where it meets the bottom eyelid. But we can also do that later too, because we are going to do some shadowing there as well. Oh, that's cool. Okay, now we're going to do the tear duct. If I say anything wrong, please let me know so I can learn the proper terms. Okay, I'm going to be using the HB pencil and doing the shadow that is just above the tear duct where it's the skin that I'm shading right now. And I'm just doing a circular motion for that because it is a very soft line on the outside. And then I'm going to do a little bit darker even closer into the tear duct here. And then it kind of curves up a little bit, and then it goes back down. So I'm gonna do that shading as well. And then I'm gonna use a 4H pencil to do some shading, some very light shading. And there is a secondary line between the two. So we're gonna do a darker shadow that splits it in half. So we're gonna do a darker shadow in between the two halves here. And then we're gonna take the blending stump and we're gonna blend it, make it nice and smooth. And then also blend the top part and the bottom. There is also there's a darker shadow between the sclera and the tear duct. Okay, and now we are going to, well, I think it's a little dark, so I'm going to take the knead eraser and just dab it a bit to lighten it up a bit. And then I'm going to take the mono eraser and do the little highlights that are kind of in the bottom because it's very, very watery, so the lights are pretty bright. Okay, now that we got the eye done, we're going to work on the top eyelid, which we're going to do the eyelashes last, but yeah, we're going to do everything else. So you can kind of see the lip of the eye. It's not showing a lot, but it is there. So I'm going to take a 4B pencil. Thank you, Charity. This app is my dream come true. Questions: why are most of my anchors shaky? I've troubleshooted and followed directions, but still help. Thanks, my friend. I find that using a bigger anchor helps, but I'm not the creator of the app. I'm just somebody who works for the people who created it. His name's Sam. If you need any help, you can contact him at info@davinciiapp. .com. And yeah, he's really helpful. He knows it inside out. I just know how to draw with it. So, but yeah, the bigger the anchor, the better it works, I find. So we're going to do a dark shadow where the bottom of the lip of the eye is. It's like it's a soft line, but it's, yeah, so you just do circular motion. So sharp edge. We don't want sharp edges. I have experienced shaky anchors, but I found that the larger the anchor is, the less, like, it goes away most of the time. So, but yeah. Okay, it's quite thick. Like, you can see a lot more of the bottom of the lip of the eye on the right side of it. So I'm going to do the shadows there, pulling it up, getting lighter as I go up. Sorry, I need some water. And then I'm going to take the toilet paper, wrap it around my finger again, and just blend and kind of blend away from the eye. Blend upwards if you can. So there, we got the the top lip of the eye done. And now we are going to be working on the crease of the eye, and then we'll do the bottom part of that, like underneath it. So we're going to use the HB pencil. Well, we can use a 4B pencil for the crease of the eye. And it's darker on the very top, just slightly. And then it gets lighter as it goes to the edges, the corners. So I like to do a little bit of a thicker and darker line, like shadowing. Everything's a shadow. Even when it's a line, it's a shadow. My art teacher from high school said, there's no such thing as lines in art in the real world. It's just shadow meeting highlights, or shadow meeting just shadows and highlights that create the illusion of lines, which changed my perspective of drawing a lot when I was in high school. I see that you're using AR. Can you add another, can you just add another eye without having to do, I had it set up with AR so I could show people how to set up with large, but I'm actually using classic mode right now. I just haven't gotten the anchor off yet. But let me see what the question says again. Using, or can you just, I see you are using AR. Can you add another eye without having to do anything different? I am not quite sure what's going on, but yeah, I'm using classic mode. And if you wanted to add something different to your drawing, you can. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm having, yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to show people how to set up the large. So I use the AR to set up large, but I am using classic. Okay, now I'm going to blend that out. The shadows does go up and down. So first I'm just going to drag it across with the blending stump, and then I'm going to slightly blend it upwards as well with a little bit of circular motion. Yes, you can add another feature, other features, or isolate them. Yes. Okay, now it makes sense. Thank you for answering the question. Okay, I'm going to take the toilet paper for blending and just kind of blend that out a bit more here so it's nice and smooth. Okay, let's get back to focused work. So the bottom part between the lip of the eye, the crease of the eye and the eyelashes, it's darker on each side and lighter in the top middle. So I'm going to use the 4H pencil, sorry. I don't use classic much since you taught me how to use AR. I'll go back and forth depending on the size and how long the size and how long it's going to take me to do. And also I have got requests for people who want to have me do more classic mode, because some phones don't do AR because they just don't. But I do a lot of big projects, so I use a lot of AR as well. But either way, the basics of the app are the same. It's just the major thing that I like most about the AR is that it stays aligned even if you accidentally misplace the phone, the drawing surface, or if you need to do more than one session and you need to use the phone throughout the day and then come back to it later, it will save where it's at. So yeah, but other than that, they work exactly the same. So it's a big time saver for big projects, that's for sure. So I'm just blending it towards the center. And there we go. We can go in there and do a little skin texture if you want. The skin texture is like short little lines that are in like the center area, you can see. But I am not a hyper-realistic artist, but I will do a little bit. I'm taking the mono eraser and just kind of dragging it across, doing short strokes. Okay, I am going to do a little bit of shadowing just above that eye crease, but there is no eyebrow in this section, like in this particular picture that I'm working with. So I'm going to take an HB pencil, just add a bit of a thicker but lighter shadow on just above that crease. Yes, AR is amazing. I love it. Once you have time to dig in and use the app, you'll realize how much it will change everything. Yes, people are beginning to ask me how I am doing so many drawings and that they look so good. Yes, you can do so much more in a short period of time with tracing, and it's not a bad thing. It saves time, and it also makes your art more affordable if you like to sell your artwork, because you're not using so much time. I believe the Mona Lisa was done in 3 or 4 years, and I'm so glad we're not in that time. So, or we have to spend most of our life doing like 5 portraits. Okay, I'm gonna take the 4H pencil, because there's a shadow that kind of curves from the top left and goes down and then into the crease. So I'm just doing a light shadowing there. And then it kind of does the same thing on the other side, but it's thicker. It's a little just rounded edges of the shadow. Okay, I'm just going to blend that. I'm going to try to drag all that into the center, but I think I'll be done working on that part for this video. And just blend in circular motions, try to blend it into the center of the top eyelid. Just under the brow is where that's going to be. But there's no brow in the reference photo, so I'm not going to worry about that. And then I'm going to take my meat eraser and just kind of lift up a little bit. Not too much, just in the top part of it. Have you ever used breakdown mode for drawing eyes? Absolutely. I'm just doing this for educational purposes. I use breakdown mode for all my black and white drawings. There's a darker shadow in the corner here. I'm just going to fill that in a bit with the 4H pencil. I'm not going to be drawing all the eyes today that's in the reference photo. I'm just going to draw what I can, and then we're going to move on to another piece, larger piece, and we will use the breakdown mode. I will show you how that is done. Breakdown mode is wonderful. I use it for a layout of shadows, so I have an idea where things should be. And yeah, so I'm gonna drag this shadow that's from the eyelash line just across here, and then there's a little bit of like a lighter area, and then another little shadow right there that goes all the way to that bottom of the lip of the eye. Okay, now I'm going to take the HB pencil and I'm just going to shade in that bottom lip, that area that is just before where the eyelashes come from. And it is darker on the edges and lighter in the center. And then I'm going to take the 4H pencil and shade in the rest. Fill in this gap between the edges and the center. Or, yeah, to the center. Just circular motions. We want it to blend nicely. Do you guys have any requests for the big drawing, the finished piece drawing for next weekend, or not weekend, next week? Like, do you want me to do an old person, a child, just anybody, or an animal? Landscapes, whatever. Like, is there anything you guys want me to focus on for next week for a finished piece from beginning to end? I'm gonna actually take the black watercolor pencil I use, and no, I'm gonna stick with graphite this time around. 4B pencil. And just shade that corner of the eye a lot better, so there's more contrast. It's darker on the top, like just underneath the top lashes, and on the bottom a little bit, mostly just in the corner. Landscape, old man. And landscape too. People, just so you know, people are my, like I know how to draw people very well. Landscape, not so much, but you know what? I'm here to help you use the app and learn how to draw. So I can do landscape eventually. We'll see. Okay. Now we're gonna do that little area between the lip of the eye to the wrinkle underneath it. So it's not super dark. I'm gonna use the HB pencil for this. So it's darker above it. that wrinkle is actually, the line that you see there is a medium shadow and a highlight. So it's not really dark at all. You want to be careful with these little tiny wrinkles because it can really age a person if you don't do it right. And this is my eye, so please don't make me look older than I am. I was trying to find some royalty-free eye references, but it was hard to do, so I made my own. So I'm just trying to follow those shapes that I see as best as I can. So there's a shadow and then a little line of highlight and then just a little bit of shadow underneath that as well, but a lot lighter than the top part. And then taking my tissue paper, I'm going to blend that out, going sideways, left to right. Because you want to try to keep that slight line there. Okay, I'm not going to add that line underneath quite yet. We're going to work on that little shadow that's underneath it, that's from the corner. You have a camera that is for just taking eye pictures. That's kind of cool. Nice and clear, and do super like hyper realistic stuff with that. Portraits are my thing also. I am learning to apply the same skills to any subject, but my passion is portraits. This app helps with everything, but one must put the time and practice into it. Yes, I agree. You can trace all you want, but you got to practice too. And the more you draw, the more practice you get. So I'm taking a H4 pencil and just doing a little bit of a shadow from the corner of the eye downwards. Just very light shadow. It's actually time for a break, so I'm gonna go get myself some mint tea so I can not cough a lot for the second half. So yeah, just take a quick break, stretch your legs, get some water, some coffee, some tea, whatever, and we'll come back and we'll do like a little bit of a questionnaire and not a questionnaire, but a Q&A, and then we'll get back to drawing afterwards. So yeah. You guys are seeing something that he. There we go. I'm just laughing at the camera that you were looking at. Anyways. Okay, so I'm just catching up. You guys were laughing at the let me see, the screen, I'm guessing. I now draw every day, and I just love it because I don't feel like anything is too hard anymore, which is great. That is the point. I have done 16 drawings in the last 3 weeks, and I'm addicted. I am also addicted. I'm lucky that I get to do this all the time. Me too. It's my life now. Been waiting for a long time for something like this. Me too. Okay, I finished catching up to the I am not the one that needs to be thanked. Sam is the one that needs to be thanked. He is awesome. He created the app, and it turned into something a lot bigger than he expected it to be. And now we're just trying to make a community out of it. People that support each other, hence the Facebook group, and now this live video that we just started. So, yeah. Is there any questions you guys want me to go answer for you? You are doing a great job. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for all the compliments. I am here to answer questions, so go ahead and shoot some questions at me, and I will do my best to answer them. I just really need to have some tea because my throat's really dry. Me, I'll let you know a little bit about me. I am just another artist. I've been drawing as long as I can remember because my mom was also an artist, and I learned a lot from her. She was my first teacher, and I was doing commissions in 2019 because I had temporarily lost my job as a healthcare aide due to the fact that I have a chronic sore throat, and they weren't sure if I had COVID all the time or not, and I knew the whole time I didn't have COVID, so I had to temporarily quit that. So I did art, I did some commissions, and found the app, love the app, noticed that they were posting a lot of my drawings on their Instagram that I posted on their app, and one thing led to another. I asked them, my brother told me to ask them for a job, so I did, and that's how I'm working now. I don't think I'm better than everybody else. I feel very grateful to have the job. This is a wonderful job, and this is my only job now, which is awesome. How did you get another app? Wait, how do I get another app on my other phone? So if they're the same kind of phone, like if it's an iOS or Android, if you use iOS on the old phone and then an iOS on the new phone, just sign into your Apple ID and you should be able to download it again for free. If you're using Android, I think it's the Google account that you need to sign into, and then you have access to it through your Google account. So you don't need to buy it twice, which is great. Does that help? Did I answer your question? Hopefully that is the case, is that you are using the same type of phone. I'm glad that helped. need to make sure I plug this in because we're running low on battery. Oh, it's not quite long enough. Is it right here? There we go. I am losing some battery. Just really want to finish this tea before I get back to drawing. So the people who are behind the app, they are from New York and I am from Alberta. So yeah, which is kind of cool that we're from two very different places. Do a breakdown mode example. Yes, I can do that. I can do that real quick if you want. Okay, well, I guess let's get back to drawing. I hate to lose my battery. I hate to lose my battery. I always have everything plugged in for the most part, but for my camera, one of my extra phones that I'm using for a camera, I forgot to plug it in and it's at 30% and we're gonna need more than 30% to finish this video. So yeah. Michigan. Apparently Alberta is the Texas of Canada. That's what I heard. Okay. So let's get back to drawing and I can do a quick AR mode for you. Okay, I'm gonna move this camera up. Come on, so that you guys can see when it flickers onto something else. There we go. We'll do a quick AR mode for you. Snowing here. Yes, it is snowing here too. That's one of the big difference between us and Texas. I think it's just because we're country folks. I didn't really need to do that. Why did I do that? Okay, so I'm going to turn down the opacity and realign it somewhere else for this part. What I like to do is I like to put everything in black and white first. I can adjust it in the photo stuff on the app, on the phone, and then I put it on the app because you have more control of contrast. So we're going to go into tools and breakdown mode. I like to use 5 steps, and then you can adjust the intensity, the brightness of it. But, oh yeah, I forgot one more thing. I like to use, I don't put cutout on because that leaves like little white areas in between the shadows which aren't necessarily there. I think I'm going to do my little angry eye here for this. So grab your pencils and we're going to start with the lightest to the darkest. We are doing layers. So 4H, HB, 4B, and 8B are in that order. The first is actually 2 different shades, which is white and gray. And then we just shade in those areas. I'm not going to shade in all of it. Oh, no, I got the wrong one. Oops. Oopsies. I used the HB too soon 4H. You can do every single detail if you want, but the way that I draw, because I go over it again with the finer details using strobe afterwards, you don't necessarily need to draw every single little detail. What happens when you use the opacity mode in breakdown? It just makes it more vibrant, and you can only see where you need to draw, and then you're drawing. So I like to have it pretty low so you can actually see where you've drawn. You know what, we're just going to keep it on this. Just on what the phone sees, that's what we're going to do. I'm just talking to myself because I'm trying to be the cameraman and the artist at the same time. So we're just filling in all the red areas. I'm doing this very quickly so that we can get more stuff in here for art. More art-related stuff as possible. Same thing happens. It's all the same. Wait, I still haven't used the strolling part yet. The strobing, I'm thinking you're guessing strobing. Strobe mode. Same thing happens. It's all the same. Thanks. Strobe is great tool. You have to customize the speed. Yes, and yeah, it's my favorite out of all of the modes. Strobe is my favorite because you can trace details with strobe. It's kind of like playing spot the difference when you're using strobe. And you get to see it overlap, so it makes it super easy to see the differences. So now I'm using an HB pencil in step 2 and just shading in all those areas. If I were to use the breakdown mode, it would leave, not the breakdown, the cutout part of the breakdown mode. It would leave gaps between each layer, and I don't like that. And then we're going to go to the next one. You can see that we're focusing on eyelashes now and the pupil. And I don't think there's super dark areas, no. So yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go in between the two so you can see. Like strobe would do this, so you can actually work on more details. So we're going to turn off breakdown mode, turn on strobe. and turn up the opacity. I like to turn up the opacity on it. Strobe is great. You have to customize the speed. Yes, I already read that one. Sorry. Then strobe, it helps. The breakdown mode helps, but I still think strobe is a good finishing touch. And I'm just doing this quickly. More patience you have, the more time you can spend on it, and the more detailed it will get. And then we're gonna go with the 4B, do the outer edge. Oh, no, that's not 4B. I need to read. Outer edge of the iris here. The pupil needs to be darker. The eyelashes need to be more defined. The eyelashes kind of go down and then up and over in this section, just a little bit. And then get some eyebrows going. So this is very, very quick. So yeah, it's not super detailed, but that's how the strobe works and the breakdown mode works. But you can really just focus on it, zoom in really close, and get all those little differences in the shadows and the highlights. You can really work on it with the strobe. So was the picture was too light for you to use the values in the breakdown mode? Yes, it was a little bit too light to get all the values, but for me it's not a big deal because I just go into strobe and just work on it a little bit more afterwards anyways. I like to use breakdown mode for like what I call blocking, so you can just do the breakdown mode, blend it out really good, and then add the detail. But I can do that a little bit more later. We're going to go back into, I'm going to turn that off, and then we're going to go into the original drawing that we were working on earlier today. I'm going to move that over. Since it's not aligned, we can realign it. It'll just take a while, but I don't really need it right now. So here we go. Going back to drawing the eye that we were working on earlier. Thanks guys, great run. Don't forget to eat while drawing. See you next live. Okay, thank you for dropping in. Really do appreciate it. Do some highlights in the corner here. And a few little highlights, just some small highlights. I'm using my knead eraser for the outer edge, just a few little light ones. Okay, and I think we're pretty much good to go. I'm going to add some highlights within the bottom lip, just on top, and just a few little ones here. And now we can do the eyelashes. I have had that happen to me, but I don't understand how to use strobe. Strobe. So a strobe is technically just like taking a step back from your artwork and then grabbing the tangible reference photo. This is how I used to do it before Da Vinci Eye, and just kind of moving it in front of the canvas and then away from the canvas, in front of the canvas, just to get your eye to see the subtle differences in it so you can adjust it. So strobe technically just does that, if that makes any sense to you. I hope I make sense, but yeah. So it's just really focusing on the subtle differences, like placement, shadows, highlights, detail, so on and so forth. And it just makes it a lot easier to see those differences. Okay, so we're working on the eyelashes. I am using an 8B pencil and just doing my best to follow the direction of the eyelashes. And they go pointing outwards, and then in the center they're pointing upwards, and then back to the other side. And just make sure you keep a little bit of space where the lip of the eye is, especially on the left side. You need to leave some space there, otherwise it looks like it's growing out of the eyeball. I'm glad I was able to explain that to you. Because yeah, I'm trying my best to make things as easy as possible. So the eyelashes on me on this reference photo is a little bit hectic on the right side. It doesn't really want to go the direction that they should be going. So just pay attention to all those little details. There's like a cluster of eyelashes that touch each other over here. And then there's some more clusters. And just some lines. But the general rule is that it'll go towards the left on the left, towards the right on the right, and then go straight up in the middle, which it's called foreshortening, which it doesn't look as long as the rest, depending on if they're curled or not. So you just make like little strokes that kind of go upward. So and now we're doing the bottom eyelashes, which come from there's a lip, there's the eye, there's a lip, and then the eyelashes come out. They don't go from the inside of the eye. I like to draw outwards from where they're growing, because they are thicker at the bottom, and then you can kind of like let off a bit to kind of taper it out. And they kind of like to touch in the center, like about 3 or 4 of them kind of like to touch. And then there's like a little eyelash that goes from that corner there. Okay, I think I think that's good. It's not exactly to the... Well, I'm going to add some more shadows in this spot, the lip of the eye here. It's not exactly to... Oh, there's a few eyelashes that kind of go down this way. Just notice that. Go downwards, all the way down and then up. Yeah, I think that's good. And we can do another eye. We'll just find another spot for an eye. I'll do a little bit more of a detailed breakdown mode for this eye that we're going to do, and I'm going to do it a bit smaller. So turn the opacity down, make sure we get a nice spot that's nice and clean. It looks like the camera is frozen, maybe it's not. So if it does freeze, you go into camera and you press the pause button and then you turn it back on if you're trying to find... Oh, I found it. It's good. It was just very far moved over. I found it. But if you do have issues with the camera freezing on you, you just press the pause, and then the pause just keeps the camera from catching any movement. But that's how you reset it if that helps you at all in any time. So let's find a clean spot. I'm going to move this over and work on the next. And let's choose this eye right here. So let's choose the spot, move it to where you want it to be. This lighting on here is not very bright. Okay, and then we're gonna go to breakdown mode, turn it on. Cutout is off. I want a good balance between the highlights and the shadows. So I'm gonna adjust that. It's still at 5, which I like. You can adjust it to whatever you want. Decrease the opacity so I can actually see where I'm drawing. So organize them for 4H, HB, 4B, and 8B. I still think I need a little bit more paper. Sorry. So step 1 with the 4B, or the 4H, sorry. And then just shade in all that area that is red, or you can change the color. If you're having a hard time seeing red, you can choose green, blue, and red. Those are the colors if you need a little bit of help seeing certain colors. So there's all these little spots. You can shade them, like you can shade them perfectly if you want, just zoom in to it, or just use this as a base to your drawing. So it doesn't need to be perfect because you are going to go over it again with the details, with the strobe. When I do a large drawing in AR, will the anchor automatically set up to the larger paper? You will have to, just like setting it up to a regular piece, you do have to place it where you want it to place it, but using a larger anchor would automatically make it larger. So you don't lose the quality of the photo for doing larger pieces.
I'm not following by my rules today because I want to try to get this done before time is up. I'd like to do smaller circular motions if possible, but I'm kind of more doing lines back and forth. So don't do what I do as I say. Okay, now we're going to be doing the HB pencil. We're in step 2 for this. Sometimes I need background music. You can zoom in, and I think I should. I think I should zoom in to the section I'm working on so I can see it better, what I'm doing. Okay, now step 3 with the 4B pencil. And 8B, which isn't any, and I think it's just because it doesn't have a lot of contrast. And it's fine. And then you blend it. I like to try to blend from the darkest to the lightest, trying to keep that shape as good as possible, like as the shape of everything is accurate as possible. And then now I'm gonna, like usually I go and look for the darkest darks and the lightest lights, but we're gonna skip that for today. And we're gonna go straight into strobe so I can give you a better idea on what I see and how I'm changing things. So I turned up the opacity. I'm gonna actually show you just what the screen is showing you so you can see it a bit better. I'm just going to make sure I turn off a few things here. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in nice and big. So you can see all the details. And this is pretty dark, so I'm going to use the 8B even though it didn't have me use it before. And I'm going to do dark around the edges because it's pretty dark. I kind of drew outside the lines there. Oops. Got a little bit ahead of myself. And very dark line going across is what I see. The original photograph, I'll take my mono eraser and just clean that up a bit. It's still pretty dark, not as dark as those areas. So like you could really get all those little details in, like the very tiniest details in perfectly. Then my blending stump. It's like one of the major things that this app can do that no other tracing tool can do is you can trace detail. It's crazy. Okay, I'm going to use the HB pencil for that kind of like flowery design that's going, like the texture that's going on. And I'm going to shade it in that area first. But can you see what's going on? Can you see all those little differences between the drawing and the drawing and the reference photo? How you can see all the little details that depends on the clarity of your photograph, the reference photo you're using. I think I'm going to use the 4B. Like you can go for hours, for days doing this process, making it exactly like the reference photo. That's if you want to. And then I'm going to use the HB. I'm just going to draw the outer part of the iris. So one good mindset to have, while doing the strobe mode is not think of it as a whole picture, just think of it as tiny little pictures, little teeny tiny pictures. That's for hyper realistic or photorealistic art. Just think of it as tiny little pictures. When it comes to hyper-realistic art, though, when it comes to the very fine details, I call it abstract. It's like the abstract part of drawing. It is meant to look like something, but it's actually not perfect. Like, it's not exactly where it's supposed to be. Like, for skin texture, they just know how to imitate skin texture. They're not tracing it to the finest details like this that I'm trying to do. I don't call myself a hyper-realistic artist, but I do call myself a photorealistic artist. So yeah, hyper-realistic artists, they know how to create, to imitate the texture of things like skin. They know where to put the different textures of skin, because the texture on your nose is different than the texture on your chin, different than the texture on your forehead, different than the texture on your eyelid. They know the type of texture that needs to go in certain places, but they do not do every single detail perfectly. They will like add certain things that do make the actor or famous person or whatever, or whoever they're drawing, like they draw like special placements of beauty marks where they're supposed to be, but just a few of those tiny little things that make the people that they're drawing different from the rest. That's the only thing that they have to do accurately, I think, is just those features that are unique to them. The edge of the iris is actually pretty soft. There's almost like a secondary line that is like mid-tone between the iris and the sclera. I'm then taking my Mono eraser, which is the smallest one I have, and erasing those catch lights. Actually, I think what would work better is my electric eraser, but I need to clean it off first, because I like to use this for colored pencil as well when I do colored pieces. So it picks up some of the color, and then you just dab and then get those highlights. This I got off of Amazon. And I feel like it actually takes off more than the mechanical Mono eraser. I do think it needs to have a little bit more shadowing around the edges and especially the top part. So I'm going to add that. And then there's like a little bit of a dark shadow, almost like a line underneath it. Then taking my blending stump to blend that in a bit. Okay, I think I'm gonna work on the right side. Okay, a HB pencil. And I'm working on the tear duct, the corner of the eye. And a little bit of that upper eyelid, like where the eyelid meets the eye. Okay, and then some softer highlights, or not highlight, shadowing. Very, very minor shadowing where it meets the bottom eyelid. And then blending with my blending stump. Maybe a little bit of the toilet paper or tissue paper. And then picking it up a little bit with my knead eraser, making like a fine little tip and just dabbing. And then taking the electric eraser and doing those two little highlights that are at the bottom, like so. So one thing that I find that makes eyes a lot easier to draw is you don't focus on the eyelashes until the very end, because you just focus on the shadowing and the highlight on the eyelids and on the eye first, and then you can do the eyelashes last, because eyelashes are, it's hard to work around fine details. So work on the bigger stuff first and then do the finer stuff last. Okay, I'm going to take the HB pencil and just do some shadowing on the sclera just underneath the eyelid. And then also rounding out the edge with some shadowing as well. I'm just blending it out with my toilet paper. And then just dabbing it up a little bit, like just lifting it up ever so slightly with the knead eraser. We can do the little veins in the eye, but I don't really want to do that. That's my decision. You don't have to do everything. So now I'm working on the other side, and I'm going to take the HB. The coughing fit's happening. It's going to start happening here soon.
What's going on? What? You want to see these too?
So you can see quite a bit of the lip on this side for both the top and the bottom. And then the top lip of the eye, I call it a lip because it's kind of like a lip. My mom called it a lip too, so it's like a little bit of shadowing in that little section of the skin that's between the eyelashes and the eyeball. So I'm going to fill that in with a little bit of shading too. And then not so much, but still a little bit of that on the bottom. So lighter pressure. And then I'm going to take the 4H pencil and do some shadowing on the top of the sclera and then on the edge and the bottom. I'm going to take my blending stuff to kind of drag that bottom lip of the eye across to the other side. But anyways, I'm going to zoom out so you guys can see it so far. Eyes are the window to the soul. If the eyes aren't right in your portrait, the rest is going to look off. So it's really important to practice your eyes. I used to do a lot of them when I was out of high school. So yeah. Things you might want to know is I am doing a giveaway challenge on the Facebook group, the Da Vinci Eye Facebook group. And so what it is I will post altogether 10 challenges, and you need to complete 5 of the 10 to be entered into a win cash prize. So the information on that is in the group. So if you're not part of the group, just answer all the questions and I will get you in there for you. So also, if you don't have the app and you want to try the app, please contact me and I can give you a promo code to try the app for free for a year. Yeah. And what else? Is there anything else happening? Don't think there's anything else happening at the moment. I am planning to do every Thursday live videos on here from 10 to 12 Mountain Time. So if you don't know what that is, I'm from Alberta, so hopefully that helps with the information for you so that you can figure out the time for you. And yeah, comment in the comments if you're watching this after. It's just let me know what you want me to do for future videos. If you have any questions and want to know how things are set up or whatever, and you want me to go through that in a live, also comment that as well. And yeah, post your drawings in the Facebook group and also in the app or whatever. We want to see, tag us in Instagram or Facebook or whatever, like any social media platform. We have a lot. And tag us under Da Vinci Eye app, and we want to see your stuff. So anyways, and thank you for joining, because we want to make this into something that is fun for a group of people that like to use the app. Anyways, you guys have a wonderful day and keep on creating, never stop, and yeah, you guys have a wonderful